Instead, talk to me, damn it, or else I'm gonna throw you in the fire!
You stupid bitch! You filthy... Flyover State of Fear. And we're back. Welcome back to Flyover State of Fear with now, not a guest, my co-host, Brian.
Been promoted.
How are you? Brian has been promoted. He will be joining me for majority of the episodes, a few without at start, but after a little bit, it's me consistently, me and Brian and a guest, or just me and Brian. So get used to it.
Very excited to be here, Joe.
Are you?
Not gonna lie. So excited that I forced my way. What you guys don't know the behind the scenes of this is I forced my way. I blackmailed Joe into having me on his show more.
Yeah. That's what happened. I was like,
I'm just a bully.
Yeah,
I mean, eventually it'll all blow up and I'll be canceled in a big public spectacle. But for right now, I'm in my just creating Rick and Morty phase. I'm not in my getting kicked out of Rick and Morty phase.
I'm gonna force you to do some kindness content, but it's gonna be real fucking sinister. Then you're gonna get canceled for it. But I'll be safe.
That's fair.
They'll be well, he gave him the money to do it, but he didn't have to do it.
Yeah.
So anyway, how you been, Brian? And welcome aboard as co-hosting, which is no different from any of our other shows or us hanging out for 5 years.
No, it's just me talking too much and you trying to get real information and thoughts in between my jabbering additions. But no, I've been great. I'm just living my life. I'm just doing my thing, coasting along. Had some sewage backup in my basement earlier this week, so that was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's a nightmare.
Shout out to my wife Sarah, who handled all that, dealing with the plumbers and shit, because I was at work and whatnot, so she rules.
Nice.
That sucks.
Sarah's much cooler than us, so...
Yeah, she deserves all the credit because, just not having to come home from work and then deal with that, such a fucking relief. Oh my God, are you even kidding? So, aside from that, always on the, just constantly... consuming films, just for today, but always.
Yeah, what kind of I've been slacking. To be honest, I've been slacking a little bit with my horror movie watching. We're in the start of February right now. But what have you kind of been watching? I mean, one thing I'll get out of the way is I've been watching The Last of Us. Currently, we're on episode 3. It's phenomenal. The hype's real.
It's just one of those things that's going to be great, and I'm probably still never going to watch it. I didn't play the game. I don't really have any connection to it.
I played the game.
I've watched so many things where Pedro Pascal carries a little kid around.
I played, but you can see his face in this. I played the game, but I only played the first one, and I binge played it because it was when I was in college and I didn't have money to buy a game.
Just I burned through it on a rental.
I waited till Redbox had it, and I played it in 2 nights. Or 3 nights, whatever, enough where I could afford it, gave it back, and the show's helping remember bits and pieces, but I don't have this memory where people are complaining about nonsense.
No, I've heard nothing but good things. I'm sure it's great.
I will say this, and then I'll find out what you've been watching. Laura, my wife, only has a
wife, guys. That's what's happening when I came on the show. I was like, that's my stipulation. I got to be the co-host, and we're going to be wife guys who are always talking about our wives.
I mean, I'm always talking about my wife on this show. That's why I'm bringing it up. Is she has this sixth sense of, let me walk in at the scariest scene of anything he's watching.
Or if the movie has a rape in it, they're going to come in when that is happening. Even if you've warned them, be like, don't come in while I'm watching this. I think I've heard some shit about it.
Well, she's
they're like, thank you for looking out for me. Doesn't matter. They're going to need something at the perfect moment.
Well, she's like, oh, okay, I know that's scary. I'm interested, but whatever. Comes home. It's episode 2. Of course, it's the heaviest zombie clicker moment that so far nothing's to me has been that scary, just tense. And I was like, yeah, that's bound. Anyway. What have you been watching?
Oh, so many.
Before we get
So
into our movie.
Joe, so many things, so many things. Um, One thing I wanted to mention, I watched the one of Peter Jackson's earlier movies, Heavenly Creatures. This is
I
a
just watched
hard one
Panther.
to. Right, this is Kate Winslet and Melanie Linsky, who is now famous. She's on Yellow Jackets.
Mm-hmm.
She was on Castle Rock. She was in Detroit City. That's where I first saw her. But
And 2.5 Men, I believe.
she had 2.5 Men, really?
I gotta look that up, but
I
I
believe it. I
believe.
believe it.
Well, let me
But anyway, it's a
Yep.
based on a true story about these girls who kind of had this like crazy friendship that may or may not have turned sexual, but regardless, obsessive kind of friendship. And because they thought they were going to be separated, end up murdering the one girl's mom,
Oh,
pretty horrifically. So, but I mean, early Peter Jackson, I didn't really know what to expect from the movie. If it was just going to be like a straightforward kind of like true crime movie, but it had some kind of like, because of the girls kind of like a connection to this like fantasy world and stuff, there were some fantasy elements that kind of give you a little taste.
sure,
It felt
Peter
Peter
Jackson.
Jackson-y, yeah. So that was really great.
Where did you watch this legally?
I got
And I'm
a
asking for myself.
no, I got a DVD from the public library. That is
That is
how I
very
did it.
that is very cool. I'm
It's
literally
it's a hard
typing.
one to find. It's the if you find it to buy, it's usually pretty expensive.
No, you could buy the DVD for $4.
Really? Oh, okay. Well, maybe it was just that I couldn't find anywhere to stream. Maybe that's
No,
why.
it's not streamable, but you could buy it on Amazon for $14 a DVD.
Oh, that's not
Uh,
bad then.
but this might not be the right region. Anyway,
Well, I also am not a dude, despite my massive physical media collection, I don't usually buy things I haven't seen. Despite, no matter how good the reviews, no matter how much I think I'm going to connect with it, I very rarely will buy something if I
I
haven't seen it.
do, I do that for certain things. I actually just did that. It's not that I hadn't seen it in years. Shockingly, Pan's Labyrinth was one
No.
I had
But see,
seen. I
and
just
it's like,
not connected, but I bought
and
it.
there's ones that seem like home runs. There's like,
It's a home run.
oh, there's no way that I wouldn't love this, but I have been burned before, and it's just like,
Yeah,
I'm wary.
it's called most of our Flyover State of Film picks. No, I'm just kidding. You're like, it's a home run. You're watching, like, it's
Well,
fine.
also, like, just buying things based on memory can be dangerous, even. So.
Ask anyone of my age and generation if they think Space Jam's good, and like, yeah, it's the best movie ever.
It was so good they ironically made a shitty sequel.
And
Um,
I say, yeah, I thought that too, and then I've seen it recently, and so there's a couple scenes that are enjoyable, but it's not. Um, yeah, so I get it. But so Heavenly Creatures, I definitely adding that to a list because that is like that's a
I
good
mean, it's an
underrated.
interesting story, and it's like always cool to see a famous filmmaker and early in their career and see what they were doing. Another one that recently came on my radar. I wasn't even aware that this was like a long time cult movie. I was not like this movie. I didn't know anything about this movie, but apparently, according to people who are more in the know, like your former recent guest Lon, this was like the horror movie nerds like deep cut
Yeah,
answer.
what movie?
We're talking about Possession. Sam Neill,
Oh,
1980,
yes,
I
I remember
believe,
Law mention
1980.
it. Yeah.
Um, it just popped up on Shudder,
Mm.
so I didn't know anything about it. But then like hearing some people be like, "Oh my gosh, Possession's on Shudder," and then like seeing Lon, he did a little thread about it where he was talking about that, and I was like, "All right, interesting to check that out." Sam Neill's got a great horror pedigree,
Dude,
Omen 3,
shockingly, we talk
Mouth
about
of
his Omen
Madness,
3.
Event Horizon. Dude is a horror king. He's a scream king. Um, and it was great. I really enjoyed it. Really powerful performance from the lead
What?
actress, who I wasn't super familiar with before, and I don't know her name off the top of my head, but it was really great. So you can check
I
that
have an
out on
idea.
Shudder.
This is not thank you, the Shutter Possession. I will watch that too.
Yeah,
But you
absolutely.
just made give me an idea. And I think he might be a little too old. But what if Sam Neill was your Freddy Krueger in Freddy Krueger reboot?
Oh, I mean, he's very good. He's very menacing. Even if people who might you might have seen him in Peaky Blinders, he was really
Yeah.
like a scummy asshole in
I'm
that, and
just thinking about it,
like
like
scary in a different
you have
way.
that pedigree, but you're also anyway. That's I hope it
I
never
mean,
gets
he's an
remade.
interesting choice. I wouldn't put him out. I wouldn't take him out of
Maybe next time there's like a fan cast and keep that one in my back pocket. Um,
it.
but so we're yeah, no, those are great. So we got Heavenly Creatures, Possession, Last of Us. I mean, there's so much shit out there,
And
and I
there's
feel
also
like
a movie that we came here to talk about,
yes.
which
So
I
we're
don't know if
talking
any.
about.
I don't know. Do you know if a lot of people see? I remember like we came out and I saw some people piping up about it.
I know
Has it? Has there been much buzz about it beyond that?
not too much. I know people at Shudder. I think right now it's like I've seen it pop up a little more recently because it's like got some Chainsaw Award nominations for
Did
like
it come
first
out?
feature.
Yeah, did it come out around
Like,
Halloween? Is that when it was out?
this says March, but I feel like I watched it in like the summer.
Okay.
It says March 2002. Oh no, yeah, October 6th in the
Okay.
United States. It premiered at Southwest in 2000. I mean in March. So yeah,
Yeah, but
October. It
it
was
didn't actually
Halloween
hit
time.
streaming until like
Yeah,
Halloween time.
it
That's what I thought.
it So we're talking about Deadstream 2002, directed by a husband and wife couple, and written by the couple. Basically, everything was done by this couple: editing, writing, music. Um, Vanessa Winter, Joseph Winters, and it stars Joseph Winter and Melanie Stone, um, who was also in there. They had two not features. They had one feature this year and or last year, and they also had a segment in VHS 99 called "To Hell and Back." Hadn't seen that one, but
Yeah,
they
like I
used the
said, I think I
same
maybe have seen
players.
VHS 84, but I'm not sure I've seen
I
99.
started 99, but I it was actually
Or
right
maybe it's flip
after that.
flop. Maybe I saw 99 and not 80.
It was right after
I don't know.
Deadstream. I
They're not
started
particular. Whatever one I saw wasn't super memorable, but I watch a lot of stuff, so it's hard.
so,
It's hard to keep it
but
all straight.
they made a kick-ass movie. We're gonna talk about it today. And yeah, it was kind of like there was some little buzz on it on like I feel like online when it was released. It was like this movie that feels like a YouTube show. They nail it, and that was kind of the vibe. I really didn't hear anyone, thankfully, say
Yeah, like I
negative.
mean, that's definitely the thing that jumps out to you first, right? Is like they're definitely like right keyed into the influencer, the YouTube influencer thing, and the guy Joseph Winter, you said his name was.
Yeah,
Man, like this guy walks a tightrope in this movie between
his
annoying and likable, and he's really a crazy balance. Because I remember sitting down to watch this the first time and be like, "Oh, there's no way I'm going to be able to do
oh
this." I
oh
was like, "I'm not going to be able to watch this."
before
It's
because I had the same thought the first time I watched it was, and I watched it. I thought it was okay, like when are we gonna get out of this YouTube like pro? Because it starts like kind of cold open where it's just like the
yeah,
YouTube apology, and I remember literally pausing it and be like, oh, this is going to be it, and I'm shocked I stuck with it because I usually pull out a lot of those
right,
things.
right. I was like, I agree. Like, I was like, okay, because even his persona kid was a little much right off the top, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to give it a chance though,
Mm.
and let it kind of. And like I said, he walks the tightrope
It
of being
eases
just likable enough to keep you invested.
it could go real poorly. Before I just want to read the see if the IMDb description is not the I mean the Google's description is correct. I didn't read it yet, so a disgraced internet personality tries to win back his followers by live streaming himself at an abandoned haunted house. When he accidentally unleashes a vengeful spirit, his comeback event becomes a fight for his life. Yeah, that's accurate. That's
Yeah, I
all you
mean
need
that's
to
a
know.
very good description, really.
Um, but yeah, you do start off right. It's like the most obnoxious YouTube. It nails it. It is. I keep saying Mr. Beast when it's out, but that's not quite the streamer they're going after. But it's like that same kind of
Yeah, it's what's his name, Shane Dawson
yeah,
or something like that.
PewDiePie.
Yeah,
Like
PewDiePie.
I
Yeah,
just even think he name drops PewDiePie at one point.
he does. He does.
But it's like I don't know, and there's like some good like he's making light of it in his apology or not apology, but like I'm back. The only ghost I like is like the Ghost Dad movie, like that is
Yeah.
straight out of the YouTuber douchebag script to be like, let's pull obscure joke in here, and he's like
Yeah.
kicking them away, and
all the little graphics and everything that you like.
It's
the little
amazing.
graphics.
It's amazing because they nail it. And you're right that I mean, this is the same. This is just as much as big of a cast as they basically had in like Castaway, except they're with the no name.
But so he's doing this is his comeback video. He had this scandal. I didn't know. Do we want to just put everything out at the beginning? Because in the movie they kind of like hold off on telling you what the scandal. But I don't
However,
necessarily think the scandal was so crazy that like you couldn't.
No, I think some of that was like I was thinking about today because like at first you're like, is it a Me Too? Is it
Right.
is it more than that? Is it this? When you finally get revealed, and spoilers, if you're listening, you've listened to this show.
Yeah. And I would say, if we're gonna do spoilers when we're gonna, somebody might stop the video right here and go watch the movie. I would recommend the movie. It's good.
Recommend, yeah, watch it.
Recommend. There you go. Come
we're
back.
Talking about it.
Pause,
it's not a review show, but
right
recommend
here.
it. No, I don't. We could, however the conversation leads.
Well, yeah,
I think
like I said, I don't. I do. It's fine that they hold it back, but watching it, especially the second time, I was like, I think you could have kind of known that ahead of time or whatever. They kind of plays like a reveal near the end of the movie, and I don't know if it needed to be.
I think it's a little of what he did is a little anticlimactic. I think it's an amalgamation of things. It was like he clearly he basically killed a homeless guy.
Yeah, or put him in the hospital.
He put him in the hospital, and then got a lot of flack for like making a joke about like illegal immigration smuggling across the border.
Yeah, that was like it seems like that thing was like a lesser scandal that also was popping up, but the thing with the homeless guy seems to be the like big thing.
The got sponsors kicked off. I mean, that's probably the closest they were gonna do to like this is early. You know what's a good or better comparison? This is early like Paul Brothers.
Yeah, well,
when they were doing
what was the one where he went to the? It's like where he went to the suicide forest. That's what it.
Like,
that's basically.
And like it was like, oh, that's really fucked up. And like I think they at the time, lost sponsors and
it's
shit.
Like a combination of poor judgment, and also they added the element of a person actually got hurt in this one. Like, no, I don't think necessarily killed, but
so
hurt.
that's kind of his backdrop. And jumping all the way in during that apology, though, I love how even in his sincerest apology, and he is there, still can't help but being like, "This is for the content." When he says like, "This is for the Mexicans and the blacks," laughed out loud because it was like, you still don't get it.
Yeah.
This video is dedicated for them. But back to the kind of front. So, you actually lead right in. So he says like, my new thing is he's all about stunts and pranks. Like
it's always doing stuff he's afraid of. Like it's all based around doing stuff he's afraid of.
He has
he's gonna do the old. My uncle inherited. I inherited a haunted house. I didn't have to spend a night in it. He's gonna spend the night in a haunted house.
And I love the gag of the most famous one that I could break into.
Right, the one that not so many people knew about, that it was like a tourist attraction, and I could actually get into it.
Great joke. The intro starts with some.
There's a lot of really like smart, self-aware stuff like that too. That I think is why he kind of it works so well too. It's like part of his persona.
And the way they so we start off right now. He's in front of the haunted house, and the way they just kind of give us the introduction, because even the start of that is like he's like selling T-shirts of like, no one survived in this, we're found in this house, as if it's that. I also laughed out loud of the reveal wave of the shirt, like already doing that. But I love how the filmmakers included like a score, and he was like, no, I'm a cinematic streamer. I have my own score to play while we do things.
While we do this, yeah.
And
that's another thing they do. They have that, so it's like his own little diegetic music that's playing on his thing. But the same thing, like they earn every camera angle that you ever get in the movie. They earn it. It's all like you pretty much see him set up every camera that ever gets used in the movie.
Yeah.
And I think that's very like that's a cool part of it too. That's like a fun.
He's
way to use this, like if you're going to do this format, you're going to do this technology, it's a good way to use it.
There was a movie I watched, and I'm not going to remember the name of it. Do you remember the actor who from There's Something About Mary, and he the guy who faked having
Oh yeah, the fake handicap guy.
the fake handicap guy. I was trying to think of what he had, like cerebral palsy. He was in this movie. He had a shaved head. It was from like 2002. It was some indie, and it was a live stream. Like, I'm gonna record everything, strap cameras, and it
Oh, okay.
remember being terrible. Like this really bad
Yeah,
indie art house. This is the camera strapped up your body done right.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. This is a good. He, like I said, they're very good about justifying all their camera
well,
angles.
the infrared. I mean, even him like taking the time to label it because it is all about the content. And like, I mean, we're on YouTube
Yeah,
right now, but like it. I think anyone that knows any bit of that culture or whatever is gonna get a kick out of this.
yeah,
He, you know, and then he's going to this house. He's slowly giving us this backstory of Death Manor and this girl Mildred who was like locked away in this house and possibly died by suicide. And since then, several people have died in this house, and it's just boarded up. And but he's also really dumb, like because he wants. I don't know if like like I mean you could just call them TikTokers now too. Like they all want to be authentic.
yeah.
So like disabling his car and like throwing like the power cords out or
Yeah.
the power.
To keep himself from being able to to stop himself from being able to escape and hide, like throwing
Yeah,
the key down the grate and
the
stuff.
great
Yeah.
like and not having this even wherewithal of like I do have an exit plan just in case.
Well, and also he saddles himself with the stipulation that he has to do anything like creepy happens, he has to investigate it. And like, there's people actually like commenting on the stream, so there's an element of like him interacting with them too, to like hold him accountable for like and it's funny, like he definitely puts their like desire to see content over his own well-being like throughout the movie a bunch of times.
So the best way to like the best way that he uh the best way that he like got like about that is he just he's always breaking his own rules too, right? With
Oh yeah,
like like the wheel, the investigating, everything you just mentioned, he eventually breaks those like rules. He's not
yeah.
consistent with what he's doing. And sometimes he's right in it, but it's still like there's a through line. I don't think this movie has a lot to say, but what it has to say I think is good enough
There's a couple things like that I
is
thought
like
were
he's just full of
interesting.
shit.
There's definitely an element that I thought was interesting watching it this second time, talking about like what the movie might have to say about what exactly does a person have to put themselves through to gain forgiveness? You know what I mean? Like how much suffering is enough? When do you determine that you've paid enough penance for what you've
Yeah,
done?
like
And I think
there's
there's an element of that. There's something I don't know what the movie's trying to say about it necessarily, but just hey, maybe think about it. And I don't just mean people who've been canceled. I mean in real life too, like people who've committed crimes and things like
mhm.
that, and like have when is enough enough? When have they paid enough? When have they suffered enough? That sort of thing.
That I get. That I'm on board with it. That was there, and then I also believe the um yeah, when is enough enough, and the my end result of it too was like that also this like age of influencer are all also full of shit.
Yeah. Well,
And
and then obviously the more like surface level thing of like killing yourself for content and like to the detriment of your own health and safety and like everything for the gram or whatever or for the TikTok, doing whatever to feed the algorithm to stay current, to stay popular. And there's definitely like that's right out in front though.
no, absolutely. Um so anyway, so he's in the house and he's setting up all the cameras. There's 3 rooms um that like have the main act paranormal activity, but the one thing he does is he finds a safe room in this closet and he destroys this this thing that
Well, because it looks like a creepy. It looks like some kind of pagan drawing,
Mhm.
of like a weird spiritual witchcrafty hand thing, right?
Yeah, he's like, "Oh no!" And it's just full of shit.
Yeah.
And you find out, reveal later, that that is actually the most important thing, and that has been keeping the spirits at bay.
Yeah. So from that point forward, you're getting a lot of, and it starts kind of slow. It starts real like ghost huntery, where
Hmm.
he's trying to provoke spirits, and they're gonna do little gimmicky things in each room or
Well,
something. And
that
then
was
you get your
also
first like spirit ghost walking in the hallway, and the people are like trying to message him, and the thing like
the
it's
he checked the tapes, and at first I was like,
yeah,
"Oh, it's gonna be it is Photoshop." I am believing him, and then he
yeah,
sees the ghost through, and he's like, "Oh, I'm done, I'm in." And he spins. I think that's right. And then he makes okay. Well, let's go to the wheel and spin what the wheel has. And it's like, I guess I'll play. And he has like games and shit to play and things to do
yeah.
because he's still just intent on getting the stream going. Um, he also in the house, which failed to mention, like finds like heroin needles
Oh yeah.
and
Well,
like
yeah. Junkie's been hanging out there. It's a flop house now. Um, and then eventually, like, so he's doing his setup, and he's getting a little spooked, and then uh another person shows up out of nowhere, and we don't know, like, is it an obsessed fan, is it a creepy stalker, but like because he's painted himself in this corner, he literally puts it to a vote, and the people on the stream vote that she stays, even though it's very strange that she's there. Like, I don't know, did you key into that at all, like that?
um. I mean, she seems they don't let it. They don't linger with it too long.
Yeah.
Like they don't. I at first I was kind of like I think I was like, "Oh, that is a fan," and then I immediately was like, "Oh, that's the ghost." Like, I don't think the reveal's that revelation.
Well, especially having known Vista the second time watching it, I'm watching, and everything she does is leading him.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
she guides him, she screams so that he'll come over and he finds the secret stairwell. She's like, look, she pulls out the trunk that's got everything in it. Like, she
she's
literally takes over the stream and
I
just
re
guides
you
and just like hand holds him right to where she needs him.
you realize it until she makes him do that like chant basically. Because
Well,
I
yeah,
can't say
definitely. If
I
you're not,
guessed
yeah.
it immediately.
By the time they set up the green lights next to her, and you got the crazy green lighting, and they're doing the chant, you're like, oh yeah. If you haven't caught on yet,
Yeah.
we're done doing the subtle parts.
And like she's doing everything. It's kind of fun. She's doing it. So this guy also he has the perfect like girly scream like when he like overreaction like
It's
yeah.
real cry, like ah.
Perfect. She does about like 3 jump scares to him just to fuck with him before
This
we
movie
even
does
get
have
his
quite a few jump scares. If you're a critic of jump scares,
I'm
it's
not usually like in something like this too, it's
if they I'm on my thing with jump scares, if they work, they work. Like if they work, then you don't notice, but like you start to pick up on it and you're kind of like, oh, we're still doing this, then you can get a little, so I guess it's very personal dependent.
mhm. So, um, they go through that, right? Like all that other stuff happens. The one thing they do find in there is a journal of Mildred's poems. Like she leads him to all of that. And yeah, she makes him say
And
this
that's one of the
chant.
first, even the first time I was watching it, that's one of the first things I keyed into when he's like reading the poetry and he says it sucks, and she's like, it doesn't suck. She gets all mad. She's all pissed when he says the
That's a
when
shitty it's a shitty I mean, stupid poetry. He's so worried about
yeah, he doesn't want to
demonetization.
swear because he doesn't want to get demonetized. And even when he's like screaming for his life, he's like,
Oh shoot.
Fudger.
Um, but then he quickly realizes that uh, she disappears basically. He's like, "Why don't you go check this out?"
Well, she keeps doing it.
Disappears.
She keeps doing the like Batman. She keeps Batmaning him, where like he'll turn it around and she's just gone.
And he then uh she shares him one more time basically, and he just kind of goes off on her. He's like, "You're a fucking creep." you leave me alone, get out of here, you're just a stalker, you're not here to help. And then she just goes and bites his neck, and like
Yeah, and he
the pacing of
stabs her.
this pacing of this movie is great because it literally is this movie's 80 minutes and it's literally at the 40-minute mark.
Yeah,
And yeah, he just takes a piece of wood out of the wall and stabs her in the neck, and it's like, I killed her, I murdered her, because he doesn't, doesn't put two and two together immediately, but immediately goes to his live stream.
yeah, to check on. Well, to be fair, it's funny. He goes to tell them to call the
Yeah,
cops and to send a police officer because he's like, I want to turn myself in. I killed somebody. Excuse me.
and
Which I thought was like I thought it was an interesting way to go with it, though. I thought, and interesting to note, I don't think anybody on his stream ever does call the cops. So
no, one great thing about his stream that I remember the first time
they always treat it like a show.
they treated it like a show, and I remember the first time I watched it, my brother-in-law was also watching it, and he's really like does a lot of he has seen a lot of Twitch shows and YouTube, and he goes, these comments, the filmmakers like took their time making them seem all authentic, because if you do, I was
Yeah.
trying to read as many as I can, they all look like shit someone's gonna post. One of the fun things I
Yeah.
laughed about was something I've clearly is, watch my show, it's pretty good. Like someone else promoting their other
Someone
thing.
else trying to promote their shit. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But yeah, people are like, I don't believe it, or gotta get out of there, call the cops, blah blah blah.
Yeah, oh, this
Uh,
is boring. Blah blah blah. PewDiePie was better, or whatever.
yeah, and and he's gathering, like he's in a following where he is getting a big stream. Like by the end of it, he has 6 million viewers. By this point, maybe it's 2. Right? It's growing and growing, and um, but he jams that thing into her neck and kind of runs down the stairs. He wants to find out, and he found this box earlier, and he finds
Of course, he goes to
this.
check, and she's already good. She's up and
Yeah, she's
gone from
gone.
the hallway. She's done. She's of course
Yeah,
gone.
and
And then he finds a key to open a box, and he
well,
finds like
before
this.
that, she sticks his finger up his nose, which is for funny,
Oh.
but like it's also like gross and weird, and she has these nasty
Well, we should
nails.
talk about the 40-minute mark when the turn happens. The movie basically becomes an homage to Evil Dead at this point.
It should be like they almost could have like Cloverfield this movie.
Yeah.
Like just been like Evil Dead, Deadstream, like an Evil Dead story, Deadstream. Like it could have
this could have been a spin-off of Evil Dead.
Like, and it works great. I mean, like the makeup and effects, everything are creepy but goofy enough where it's that original.
Right, they're right on the border of that very Evil Dead, like that kind of weird and gross, but also like a little bit silly at times. The thing when she puts her finger up the nose is so gross and nasty, and her nasty jagged fingernail is like stuck up, and he pulls it out of his nose. Horrible,
It's great,
horrific. And so there's some really great stuff in here. I love the whole bit where he can see her hanging in the corner in the hallway, and he needs to get by her, but he can't see. He can see it on the camera, so he's got it on his laptop or his tablet or whatever. And he can see it, but he can't actually see her, and he's trying to scoot by her. And then that was a really good one. It's a jump scare, but it's a very good, very well executed jump scare. And yeah, they have a lot of fun with like the kind of format and stuff here, which I liked. I thought it was good. That was very well done. Very cool. Like you said, clearly low budget effects. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
they're doing as much with them as possible,
and
which is always the key.
And that's something like the filmmakers, from the little research I kind of did on it, prided themselves into. Is this? Yeah. Is this? So yeah, so they go through that, and then he's just he's still trapped in this house though. He obviously he puts two in together. Like, I've unleashed Mildred. I put Mildred in, but he's also getting help, and I do like this filmmaking technique of they sent him people are able to send him things like, look at your drop files, and it's like video recordings of people being like, "Hey, my mom was I was able to translate." It was this little kid who was a fan. He's like, "Oh, I did some research. That hand thing is actually meant to protect you, and
Yeah.
you destroyed it." That comes
And
then,
then
and then
another person is like, "Hey, my grandma's the one who actually made that. That she was a
yeah,
nanny there when she was
and
15 or whatever."
she goes, "Oh shit!" Like it was great. Like when
I was
he's
like,
like,
Nana, he broke it. I said, "Oh, he's gonna die."
"Yeah, he's gonna die." Great. Um, and then even a little later, they're like, "This is how you solve an exorcism because we Googled it." Like help. Um, all fun, but whatever.
They
It's
translate the weird. I love. We kind of glossed over it when him and Chrissy, who turns out to be Mildred, are doing the little ceremony. I love. He's like, no, I don't say weird shit that I don't know what it means. Clearly, there was like a video previous where somebody had got him to do that, and he had said some shit. You know what I mean? It just you get the vibe that was probably one of his other little mini scandals where he had like just blindly said something someone told him to say, and it turned out to be racist or something. But then, of course, she kind of just like is like, no, no, it means this, and he's just like, oh, okay, and then he says it, and of course, it turns out to be wrong. But it's just so funny. He had this like, no, I'm going to make a principle stay, and I don't say stuff that people tell me to say without that I don't know what it means. It's like, that's very specific. I was like, something. It seems like something happened with you with
he
that.
just yeah, he he's so conscious to like try to not do anything that he just even comes off more as an asshole too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, exactly because it's that whole thing of he's not being it's the fake naturalism, the kind of like phony, uh, like, oh, I'm just a real person, but you're not because you're constantly thinking about yourself as a product to be put out there. So you're never being natural. You're never being yourself.
None of that. Just uh,
So through we were talking about the videos, through the little videos, he figures out like what's going on with Mildred, what Mildred wants, kind of, which
mhm.
is to like bring people to that house, and they kill them. She makes them go crazy and kill themselves, and then she like owns their soul. They become her followers, if you
Her
will.
followers. Yeah.
She influences them. Do you
Well,
get what I'm saying here?
that I do. That's the realization he just comes to. He's like, oh, I'm a she's an influencer. I'm an influencer. I got to influence him. And he also realizes that like he could go back and take his soul back even though he technically gave it away.
Right. He has to do a like they again. People are helping him out. He comes up with a way to do the ritual. He has to like lure her into a certain. He draws the big thing on the floor, and he has to like lure her into it and do a spell, and it's supposed to trap her. He does all that, but he fucks it up because he doesn't realize he needs to make a sacrifice.
But then
Earlier
he
in the little box, he found her gross finger.
yeah,
He does the
but a little before that it glossed over, I do want to say he does get outside. He gets scared one more time
he dives out that window, which is a pretty great. That's a
and
great,
jumps
pretty
out that
great
window,
moment.
which I think I would have done earlier, to be honest
Oh,
with you. I'd
way
been like,
before this, yeah.
fuck it, and fucks his leg up, but enough where he can run around. And then he gets the car, and there's a great scene where she's able to like influence either other dead creatures or like herself be something because a cop pops up that's a zombie cop and is
Well,
like,
at first he looks like one of the like old occupants of the house who would live, like a guy you see earlier in
yeah,
a picture. He looks like that,
but he's
and then he
like,
becomes a zombie. There's also a really great. We have to shout out the little effects, like I said, done on a budget, but very cool. There's like a almost like a snake man out in the woods, like out
Snake
in the
Man,
grass.
the kid, there's a kid, there's
Conjoined
a
twin kid.
conjoined kid twin,
Yeah.
something out, like it's all, you see kind of a good shot of them all at the very end,
At the very end, you get a good look at him. But like the
but
snake one, when he first runs into it out in the tall grass, I was like, ah!
he shoots him,
It's very cool.
he shoots him out with a paintball gun. Um, and he shoots him with the paintball gun, and not paintball gun, sorry, potato gun,
Yeah. It shoots
and
a hole clean through him.
yeah, and it's amazing.
Yeah, and like I said, it's getting real Evil Dead. He's got like you got like the zombie sliding down the potato gun towards him and kind of like dripping weird goo at him and stuff. You know, you get a lot of the gross out stuff.
Amazing.
And then, like I said, he does finally make the sacrifice. He goes full Ash. He fulfills his destiny and chops off not his whole hand like Ash did, but a finger. Although he goes with his index finger, I was like, you could have done pinky, man. Go pinky.
Well, he goes to the index finger immediately, and then she gets sucked into the floor, and like blood spatters everything. That's another great part of this. Like, he's never getting away scot-free. He's always getting shouted at. Like,
Yeah.
he's always getting disgusting things thrown on him, and then he's
He
also
gets,
always
he
like
gets waterboarded with a bucket of his own piss.
pissed. That's a great scene.
It's an
And then he's
excellent
like,
scene.
their ending like fight is amazing. And
Yeah.
then he's also
Oh
just
yeah, we
like,
didn't even talk about the he makes a weapon and then he sticks a camera on the end of his
and
weapon.
labels
so you have, like,
it.
stabbing cam.
And like
So
labels
funny.
it.
Oh, he puts a cam on Mildred on the zombie and calls it Dead. Like he starts to write Mildred and then he backs up and calls it Dead. Like he retypes it, for the view.
It
He's got to do punny titles. He's a YouTube guy.
Dead. I mean, the spear cam.
Yeah. Beef cam. I didn't talk about beef cam is clutch. He straps it to a Slim Jim and sticks it out the window.
Like,
Love beef cam.
beef cam. It's just, it's anything that he could think of.
But like I said, they justify all of them, and it's well worth it. It makes it a lot of fun. So he defeats Mildred, right? And then he's like, haha, I did it. I took her power or whatever. But then we get kind of like what I know you and I always appreciate is almost like a Tales from the Crypt ending.
Oh, it's because like there's no world where this thing, especially how they do it. Like I said, he's always just he always takes 2 steps and then 5 steps back. Like he's never completely genuine. He's always on. The movie just shuts the door and is like, nope, he's part of the house. He's murdered. None of this worked.
Yeah.
And
I
has
mean,
its Tales from the Crypt.
he might be the head of these ghosts, but he's gonna he's getting got. He's gonna stay
Dead.
there. He ain't going anywhere.
He's dead.
Like you get to see all the weird little creeps that were around the corner man, the conjoined twin, the snake guy, and they all kind of close in on him.
And I like that there's like an ending.
Yeah, I do too.
A movie like this, and I've seen other sometimes do like to be like, well, no, it's easy enough. We could just shut the door and say he died. This I feel like
try to Blair Witch it.
Yeah, and they didn't, and that was like it's such a good part to not Blair Witch.
I love, and then it ends. It just has the black screen and the stream has ended, and then that's it. Cut to credits. And what a great way to end a movie like that.
Yeah. Anything? I don't know. I feel like we covered a lot of it. I feel like I said what I wanted to say. Anything else you want to bring up? I mean,
there's a really great joke in there that I missed when I watched it the second time, but man, it was so good when they make fun of his acne and he says something about I can't remember how he plays it out, but
like he has that like
he's got a little
acne.
Yeah, he's got like a little bit of a pockmark, and somebody makes a comment on it. Because you can't help but notice it because literally a camera is right here in his face the whole movie. And somebody in his stream makes a comment, something to the effect of like, "Do your friends call you pizza face?" And he was like, "No, I didn't have any friends." It's just a really it speaks to the fact that this guy had to carry this movie because if he doesn't work, the movie doesn't work.
Oh, we're not talking about this.
No, well, like I said, the character is inherently built to be unlikable. So like he not only has to do that, but also make you not want to turn the movie off. So very delicate balance. I really got to give him a lot of credit for that. And we just talked about a lot of fun stuff, a lot of fun effects, a lot of fun practicals, a lot of smart use of budget filmmaking. I bet this movie didn't cost $5 million. Like
I think one of the things I read was the idea of the movie started very different. Like it started more of let's do this haunted house and this guy, and then it was the wife's idea of let's make it one continuous stream with like really no cuts, it's the live stream. And they said when they had that idea, it actually the budget oddly enough did start to grow and grow because they were able to get the ideas, even have more fun with it.
Yeah. Well, and also like to us it seems like very flawless and flowing, but to actually make it and edit it that way, there's so many different shots you need. And you have to really have an eye for like what you're going to do and what you're going to need and what shots you want and how you're going to get them and how you're not going to trip over yourself and being conscious of like your cameras and your shot composition, like where your different in a world where you are deciding where all your cameras that are going to basically make up all the shots of your movie go, building that into the plot. I'm sure it did get very intricate, but they did a great job. They make it really came out great.
Yeah, I absolutely. It's like for me. I mean, it's like anything on Shudder. It's the underrated.
Well,
It's the
Shudder's very
underrated
hit and miss.
horror
You and I
movie.
have talked about this. There's some amazing stuff on Shudder. There's
Yeah,
also a lot of garbage on Shudder, and you cannot trust their rating system because people who have Shudder love everything that's horror. They give
everything's
everything 4 to 5 skulls.
everything's 4 to 5 skulls on Shudder. I mean,
Four
it's
skulls
weird.
could be the worst movie you've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't follow the rating system on Shudder is like people look at me at 5 heads. I've never in my life trusted the IMDb rating because it's the most manipulatable rating system.
Yeah.
Be like it has an 8.7 on IMDb. I'm like, who put it on IMDb? Why does it have
Yeah.
15,000 reviews?
Yeah, Best of the Worst was rated the greatest talk show of all time because it had all positive
Yeah,
reviews from
it's
from IMDb, and some
um
fucking clickbait article wrote it up as like the greatest talk show of all time.
my point
You're not
being,
wrong, but
my point being, um, so definitely like a high recommend, and yeah,
oh
it's
yeah,
just like little gem. I
and like you
honestly,
said, a little 80-minute binger, just knock it out in an evening, like
this is yeah, 80-minute bear, and
no commitment, all fun, no fluff.
this is now into my is now logged into the forever Halloween
Oh yeah.
October September watch. Like you said, an 80-minute, or you could get
And like I
two.
said, Evil Dead fans, have been eating fat for the last couple of years. The remake's good, then they got that show, and now we got another sequel,
Mm-hmm.
another like in universe. But that doesn't mean there isn't room for some tight homage well done, and this is it. You know what I mean? So if
I
you're a
mean,
fan of
you
Evil Dead,
literally,
you like more Evil Dead, there you go.
if they ever wanted to, they have this movie in a different world where you just shove the famous car in the background
Yeah,
on
that's all you have
on
to
this
do.
haunted house camp, and they go, oh,
There it
and
is.
maybe
In universe
some
now.
sort of like Deadite book is in the instead of the journal. It's done. Yeah, no, thank you. This was great.
Oh, I did
You
want to
know,
say one more thing. I tweeted this earlier, and I meant to bring it up when we were talking about stuff we watched. I know I talked to you about it. I thought this would be a fun double feature with a movie that is on, I believe it's on Hulu.
I think you're right. I think
We're
that
all
is on
going to the
Hulu.
World's Fair.
Yeah, I got to
Um,
watch that still.
it's a similar thing as in we're talking about a lot of first person POV and talking into a camera on their computer. It's basically about a girl who kind of gets into one of these online, almost like a Candyman style thing where she does this ritual and then she's gonna, certain things are gonna happen to her and then she's gonna die,
Mm.
and we watch it play out and see how she reacts and the things going on with her, and it's just really it's not as high energy as this movie, not even close. It's a much different movie than this, but it would work as a double feature because of the contrast, but they still have a similar thing to say about online horror, I guess.
Yeah,
So,
I, I like I said, I didn't mean to belittle the movie as saying it didn't earlier because that's a good comparison,
no,
right? To say there's a good double feature. To say it didn't have much to say. I just meant like it's really fun and it's like 2 bullet points of what I think it
oh
has to
yeah.
say are good and clear, and I don't have to think of
But
anything.
also, it doesn't have to say anything. I'm not saying it does. Movies can just be breezy and enjoyable, and then you can dig as deep into them as you feel like is necessary.
Yeah, the menu discourse. Instead of me
Yeah.
just enjoying that movie, I got to hear people bitch about it online.
I get people bitch that it's like too heavy-handed.
That movie
Like
was great. I
it was
where I
so
stand on.
fucking good, and yeah, it was plenty heavy-handed. That's fine. It's okay. Like it's
Thanks,
not
for Andy.
it's not trying to be subtle. It's not trying to be a message movie. It's just being it. Ah, ah, ah.
Mm.
Well, Joe, I look forward to crashing more of your parties.
Well, you won't be crashing. Like I said, you are now the co-host. So I'm not even going to say. What do you have to
Checks in the
plug?
mail.
Your check is in the mail. You can find both of us on Twitter at Hercules and Chendango1 and Flyover State of Fear. All that shit's in below. Yeah. Hope you all enjoyed. And like he says, like and smash.
Smash that like button, baby.
But
Hit the
stay
bell for
frightful, everyone.
notifications.
Stay frightful.
Follow us on Twitter. I don't know. It's still going?
Welcome to Flyover State of Fear.